Well, guys, we're halfway through this season and we're 6 wins up, 0 losses down, bowl eligible. Uh, I know that's kind of I say that because 10 years ago, probably this date, we were hoping to be bowl eligible, and I think if you actually think about it, a lot of people probably didn't even realize we were bowl eligible because we just expect it now.
So funny you say that, right? As I watched Michigan replay today, and Harbaugh was talking to John Jansen, and Harbaugh said bowl eligible, and the thought never entered my mind. But you're right. 10 years ago, that was the standard, right? Let's make a bowl.
Well, yeah, and we were in a very bad situation,
and we felt great about it. And that 10-year stretch is one of our worst, in history, and certainly the worst time period of my life. And sadly, this right now, what we're going through is what I remember, and we're actually probably a step above that. But for the majority of your lifetime, that 10 years ago, that's what you knew. That's what and that's part of why we get so much hate because all of the people of your generation, that's what they know, right? Mediocre Michigan, not the gold standard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bowl eligible. That's great. We 0 penalties last week, 1 penalty this week, and it was game was over, right? I think it was second string penalties.
It was something. It wasn't even anything big. It was like a
it was a whole defensive hold or
something like that. But
yeah. So dominant performance. We look like the Bamas and the Georgias, and time will tell, right? But right now, there's two great football teams: the University of Michigan and the Detroit fucking Lions, baby. Let's
Jesus
go!
Christ! Jesus Christ!
Let's go!
Who? They haven't played anybody. The only team they played, they lost to.
Toughest schedule right now.
Shut up. Yeah, maybe not right now. They just played the fucking Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young, who couldn't hit the fucking side of a barn,
and smoked them.
They still gave up 24 points. I don't even want to fucking hear it. I don't even want to fucking hear it.
Detroit Lions, baby. I've been waiting all day to set that up and say it.
I fucking knew. I knew it was coming. Please. I need fucking Phillip. I need fucking Jalen Hurts to throw a fucking touchdown pass here, not just get a fucking field goal.
So funny thing, right? And we'll get back to Michigan, but this is Michigan related. Is that did you see that pick by Aiden Hutchinson?
No, I didn't watch it. I don't get to see those games down here unless they play like Atlanta or the Saints.
He fucking swats this ball, dude. He's swimming this guy, right? And he just reaches out and fucking snags it with one hand. It was badass. And he's everything advertised, and I'm glad that we didn't get the number 1 pick because we probably wouldn't have taken him at number 1. And forget all the hometown shit and the Michigan stuff. This guy, if he can stay healthy, is going to be an all-timer. But back to Michigan versus.
I do want to watch this video real quick because I want to see if I do want to see this interception. So I figured I might as well just play it on here. That's not the right one. Did I share the right fucking screen? No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Oh.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
While we're killing time here, right? I'm gonna stuff my face for a couple more fries, and number 2 is it might be time for you to abandon ship on the old Patriots and just come on over to your hometown team.
Everyone wants to tell me this, but if anything, I'm gonna be a fucking Saints fan before I'm a fucking Lions fan.
Okay. Stay down there in Loserville. That's fine.
I mean, they got a defense. That's about all.
We got it all, baby.
Okay, relax.
Offense, defense. We're about to run off 5 Super Bowls straight.
Shut up. I'm playing this video.
What a difference maker he has been.
Threw it right to him. Not as impressive what I thought it was going to be.
Okay. out of 100 tries, and you knew that ball was coming to you, you wouldn't catch it once.
I don't know about that one. But anyways.
So I hate to say anything because I don't remember, and it was a while ago, but he has abnormally sized hands, I guess. And that certainly contributed, but he's like 6'5", right? 6'6". But I forget who, but there was somebody, I want to say Shaq, but I might be way off, where like his hands were not a whole lot smaller than Shaq's. It was kind of crazy.
That don't surprise me. I mean, that dude's
and that helps,
6'7".
right? I mean,
Oh yeah. You know, he has 4. I was reading this today. He has 4 interceptions, and the rest of like the top 5 picks of that year have 4 combined.
Yep.
And that's kind of like Sauce Gardner and all them are in that draft. That's top 5s.
Right, and he is, and not, you know, with the Lions have a storied history, just not in the last 60 years, but he is already tied for all-time interceptions in Lions on their defensive line interceptions. Tied at 4 with some guy from 1955 or some shit.
Yeah, that's about right. Last time the Lions were probably good at football.
And it was. I mean, I've never denied that.
I can't wait for them to let all you motherfuckers down. And I'm going to be on here saying, I fucking told you so.
So what's a letdown?
When they don't make the playoffs.
So to me, that's kind of the standard, right? If they don't make the playoffs, especially now that they're 4-1, 5-1, 4-1.
Still a lot of football left.
There is. There's a ton of football left, but their division's super weak, right? And you know, they got the Ravens, which they got Buccaneers, which Ravens tough. Raiders, Chargers are decent. Bears garbage. I mean,
but the Lions losing to the fucking Bears is like the most Lions thing to do, even when they've been good.
Yep, fair enough.
Even when they've been decent, even when Calvin Johnson and Stafford last time they made the playoffs, they were always fucking losing some stupid ass game like that.
And I mean, sure, that's a Detroit Lions thing, right? But that's an NFL team. The great teams shit the bad once or twice a year. That's just the way it is.
I know.
You know, their only loss to Seattle. I think if they played right now, they would have that game. They would probably win that game. But Seattle essentially knocked them out of the playoffs last year, right? So, but you know, there's 12 games left, and I see an easy 8 wins on their schedule. And that would put them
eight more wins.
8 more wins.
I don't know.
And that would put them at 12-5, and that will just about certainly win their division.
And then they're going to get spanked in the playoffs. They do make the playoffs.
Maybe. Listen.
Down by 40.
And that's fine. If they make the playoffs, I feel like you can't hold their past against them, right? Because
Why?
Just listen to my reasoning, right? They're a young team with a young coach who hasn't been there before. And, I mean, in all of sports, very rarely do you see a team make the Lions have made the playoffs since before you were born, I don't think. No, they haven't won a playoff game since before you were born.
So they made the playoffs 2 or 3 times, but they got their asses.
Because this is the reference that comes off the top of my head, right? Is the bad boy Pistons, right? They get slapped around by Boston. They come back the next year. They make it a stage further. They get slapped around by the Lakers. They come back the next year. They beat the Lakers for the championship. There's growing pains, and then. You know, we did that to the Chicago Bulls, knocked them out. Then they win a couple games during the season. Then they beat us, and then they go on to the championship. There's a process there, and Very rarely do you see a team that's going from, especially in our case, just years and years of failure in the most pathetic and catastrophic ways and go all the way to be a championship team. I think that it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they make the playoffs and lose a close game, don't get stunk out, right? I think that's a successful season. And if they win a playoff game and then get blown out 150-0, I still think the season's a success. There's a process, a growth process there that has to take place. And that will winning a playoff game will quiet the majority of the doubters. Maybe not all of them, but a majority of them. And I've been alive more than twice as long as you have. And I've never, ever, there were some good teams in the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s. And I've never, ever seen the Lions get the league-wide respect and the national respect that they're getting. It's not even close. And that just says a lot to me.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. And why wasn't Jim Caldwell a success? He took the Lions to the playoffs twice in 4 seasons.
I don't think the Lions should have ever gotten rid of Caldwell. I think that.
I mean, I get he had Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford, but still.
And he did, but I think that he was a year or two away from having real success, and I think that them getting rid of him set us back another 4 or 5 years. But the difference to me is that Sheila Hamp Ford is now calling the shots, and so far she has done nothing but win with her GM hire, with her coaching hire, with a lot of things. So it's way too early to get way too excited. I just like to get you going a little bit, but I in all honesty, I feel really good about the direction you're headed in. And the reality is part of me expects them to go 0-11 the rest of the season, that just because there's been so many years of that, and it would not shock me. But I think that the right foundation's there. I think for too many years they tried to do things, take shortcuts, and William Clay Ford was way too loyal and way too nice of a guy to own a competitive franchise. And so I think that foundation's being built, and I do think they're going to be successful. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I've never in my life been this confident about the Lions. I'll tell you that.
I wish I could go back in time and hopefully prove that wrong, but I can't.
Now, confidence and always being a fan, don't get those two confused, right? Rooting, see them go on a 3-game win streak and think, okay, maybe we've turned the corner. That doesn't mean I was super confident. That means I was trying to will it to happen.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said, a lot of season left. Can we talk about something that, now let's switch back over to the game that I care about. And hang on real quick. One more motherfucker tells me to come back to fuck it. I can come back to the Lions side. I fuck y'all. Anyways. Like we were talking about, Michigan dominated last night coming into the game from the start. Second play of the game.
Second play of the game, 14 seconds off the clock, right?
Yeah. Will Johnson intercepts the football, takes it 36 yards. And I was sitting down watching, and I said, man, we need a fucking turnover. I don't know if you ended up listening to any of the podcasts last night. It's super rough for me to do stuff on my own because I like having conversation. But I said last night, the one thing that the defense really hasn't did this year is get a bunch of takeaways. And we got fucking 2 of them last night. 2 takeaways for touchdowns. Our defense outscored Minnesota last night by themselves. But that's I think to me that's the difference, even from last year's team to this year's team that I've seen, is we come out and we've started the games fast, and especially in the road environments, whether it was Nebraska last week or Minnesota this week, we started fast and we've taken the crowd out of the factor very fast.
So a couple things that really have me happy and I guess excited is that one, our two best games have been on the road so far this year, right? And Minnesota is it's a pretty Michigan friendly area. I don't really actually remember paying attention to the crowd to see how many Michigan fans were in attendance, but Nebraska is a fairly hostile place to go. But that was flooded with Michigan people too, right? But
I'll tell you how Minnesota was last night. Someone posted on Twitter yesterday. Um, it's called a bar called Sally's, and it's usually like a predominant just Minnesota fans in there. Michigan fans had raided it and took it over, completely took it over. Over 3/4 of the people in there were Michigan fans. Ended up at one point they were all singing "Hail to the Victors," and so there was a lot of people that traveled up there for that game, whether they were already up there or traveled there. But continue.
The other thing is this goes back to when I was talking about the Lions too. The college, it's a long season, right? And we're bound to have a struggle. But the other thing that I'm really happy about is that we are clearly getting better each game.
Yeah.
And yesterday especially, and last week on a smaller level, I guess, but this is what your Bamas and your Georgias and your Clemsons do to
Have done.
bad teams have done, right? Or not even bad teams, but average teams. I have no idea, to be honest with you, what Minnesota's record is this year. I think
They're
3-3, I think, but
I think they're 3-3 now. Yeah.
yeah. But in the Big Ten West, blah blah blah. You can fine. Our schedule's not been great. Fine, I get it. That's everybody's comeback now. Instead of it was 100 years ago, it's your schedule's trash. Your schedule's trash. And the schedule certainly could be tougher, but I don't think it's that bad compared to a lot of other big teams either. But anyways, is that we are progressing. JJ had that bad game. Was it against Rutgers where he threw
Bowling Green?
Bowling Green, yeah. But other than that, he looked great. I laughed out loud when he rushed for that second touchdown. And he stiff armed that guy to the ground.
When he was running, I was like, "Bro, don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Don't get
right.
hurt."
Every time he
I'm
takes
like,
it, that's all I'm thinking. Please just go down.
Because that's one motherfucker that never fucking slides ever.
Right.
I'm
And
like, dude, you're
gonna does go out of bounds on occasion. Something that I really noticed too, and after I thought about it, he did do it a little bit last year, but he's done it a lot this year. Is Blake Corum's running out of bounds too instead of
thank God, yeah,
killing for that extra 2 or 3 yards.
It pisses me off sometimes, but Jesus,
it does. But there's going to come a point where he's not going to be able to do that, right? And maybe that's not to Ohio State or Penn State or maybe even if we make the playoffs. But exactly, he not only are the coach saving him, but he's trying to save himself too. And maybe that's a lesson learned from the injury because he did get hurt fighting for extra yards against it was Illinois, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 2017. I mean, it was not game 11 last year.
Yeah. So we'll see. But super impressed with the team. Super impressed with the coaching staff. Now, and Harbaugh again mentioned this on Michigan Replay. Maybe it was Jansen. I think it was Harbaugh though that said, and we've talked about this a little bit before. At least I have. Is that those first 3 games, things were. Even though the team did fine and competed fine, things were in a little bit of disarray just because the Harbaugh suspended, he wasn't there, and it always threw things a little out of whack. So from that perspective, this is their first few games with him together, and the team just from all appearances is hitting their stride. And I don't ever remember a penalty-free game of Michigan. And I'm sure it's happened. I just don't recall it. But certainly back-to-back, almost, one penalty in 2 games. That's highly impressive, I think.
Oh, I agree. It shows the discipline this team has, which I think we all knew that they had the discipline to do it.
Yep.
I mean, but again, I think since 2021, we said this is the best team ever. 2022, we said this is the best team we've had. This year, we're saying the same thing. Yep. I mean, you have players like Mason Graham who are fucking sophomores coming out and playing like he's a grown senior in the NFL. Like he should be playing the NFL on Sundays.
Right.
I
playing,
mean, the
playing
man,
with one arm yesterday, basically,
dude,
one
that man
hand for
was
sure,
everywhere.
everywhere. And
Oh,
I sent you that tweet earlier. You said you had seen it, but with PJ Fleck, right?
yeah.
He did everything but jerk Harbaugh off. He was so complimentary. It was like I was like just gushed and gushed and gushed. I was like, holy shit. And that was kind of cool because most coaches they won't. Oh, that's a very nice team. That's a great team, especially if you just got your ass kicked like that. But I felt like he went out of his way to be very, very complimentary of everything they've done. And the caveat there is that he hasn't played the Georgias and the Bamas and all that, but he's been around football long enough to know an elite team when he sees it too. So that really.
Well, I mean, when he was there, when he was in at Western Michigan, they played in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
He's played some good players, some good people, but
right.
I mean, it's all in all. I mean, that's it. But again, like you said, a coach that is very well, even just well known, even though he's only really been at Western in Minnesota. It's just good to hear. And I think there's a lot. Even Matt Rule said the same thing kind of last week after the last game. Not as much as gushing and things like that.
Yeah, he didn't elaborate as much, but he did. He said that's who we aspire to be, and dominant, blah blah blah. But PJ had 2 paragraphs of compliments, and that was just pretty unusual. You don't see that very much, and that's set the fandom aside, right? Because I can watch teams objectively, and this year's team reminds me of the dominant SEC teams of years past, and we won't find out if that's true unless we get to the playoffs and can show that. And I think Georgia is still a very good team, but I don't think they're like they were last year or the year before. So
no, I don't think they are either. There's just a lot of teams that they've been playing. I will never ever get over the SEC bias bullshit. I'm gonna go down this road again.
Yeah, you picked Kentucky to beat them yesterday. You wouldn't have done that 2 years ago or last year.
No, I definitely wouldn't have. But you look at right, but you look at. I'm gonna go kind of down a rabbit hole with this whole SEC shit. Is you look at the AP poll, man. LSU ranked with 2 losses over Maryland, who has 0. And did you see who's still ranked this week? Kentucky.
I did.
Kentucky was ranked like 21. Now they're ranked like 23. I'm like, fuck no. I mean, are you just trying to fucking bounce up their fucking resume to make Georgia look better? Go, we beat a top 25 team by fucking whatever points it was. Fucking God, I fucking hate
I don't have as big a problem with that as you because they got beat by the number 1 team, right? If they got stomped like that by the 22nd team, okay, but
I guarantee if Maryland would have been ranked in the same spot they were and lost to Ohio State, Maryland would have probably been 50th.
And that's probably fair, right? But I don't have a problem with them staying and losing to a number 1 team. I really don't.
Fucking blood is boiling.
I really don't think that if you lose to a team that's ranked higher than you, that you should drop out of the polls or really even drop too much. Now they got beat enough. They got beat bad enough there. They should probably drop a few spots, but I don't have a problem with them still being in there. But Maryland deserves to be in there for sure.
My blood's fucking boiling. I was like physically pissed off there for a second. Who else had a good game last night? Defensive line. There was somebody else I really want to talk about. Josiah Stewart.
Yes.
Really, the past 2 weeks it came into his own in this Michigan defense. And last night he had a sack, tackle for loss, 1.5 tackles for loss. He was just seemed like to be everywhere. He only had 3 total tackles, but the man is coming along so well from just, again, as you said, every game we're improving. And we probably could have hung 80 on them last night.
For sure. For sure.
But like I said, it's good that we are playing the way that we are because we're 6 games into the season. We ain't had a game go long enough to have our starters playing whole entire game. Halfway through the season.
Right.
And that's going to help out majorly when you get down to who we got next week. Indiana next week. It shouldn't be the same way in my opinion. Our starters should be out at some point in the second half. And then Michigan State, which I don't know how that game's going to go. It's a rivalry. You never know. Night game. God, I want to come home for it so bad. Tickets are cheap. But really until what? Then we have a bye week after Michigan State. And then we played Purdue. And then we got Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. The only games that I don't see that we shouldn't be doing that is maybe Penn State, Michigan State, and Ohio State. Purdue and Indiana, we should be able to handle very easily, in my opinion.
Maryland should be a decent game. I shouldn't say tough, but decent game, I would think. But who knows?
Yeah, I forgot about it. I didn't even say Maryland the second time I went through it. Man, I feel so bad. Donovan Edwards almost broke for a touchdown last night, and I was sitting here, and he was one tackle away, and I thought he had it, and he got tackled. He was like 5-yard line or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I was never so like, God, he needs a touchdown to get his fucking confidence up. I mean, that dude total yards last night had 45 total yards, 25 yards receiving, 20 rushing. But it almost looks like Khalil Mullins has jumped in the depth chart.
So
at least in the running game.
Yeah, I've kind of thought that he should get him in. I hope, right, that there's nothing going on lingering. Obviously, he's, if he was really hurt, I don't think they'd play him at all. We haven't needed him to this point. We probably won't until Penn State, right? But hopefully they're just saving him. And Khalil he's mostly short yardage situations, goal line stuff, and sure,
he's starting to remind me a lot of
did a lot of that for us, but I don't know. I've said all season that something just doesn't seem right about that whole deal with him. But 4 carries, 25 yards, 6'3" carry. I mean, that one was 16 yards, I think. So the other 3 yards of carry, that helped him out. Wait, no, he had 4. No, he was 4 for 20 with a 6 along the 6. I was looking at receiving.
Receiving head. And the dude's still been good out of the backfield, catching the football, but
yep.
Just has not.
Yeah, I just feel like either he's got something nagging, or he's in the doghouse, or they feel the need to bring him down a level or something. And maybe it's a combination of some things, but I would agree that there's something's not 100% right there. I guess the other explanation is his explosion last year was just an aberration and not who he is,
yeah, but he did it the year before too, though. He exploded right there towards the end against Maryland.
And he did, and maybe he's a end of the season guy too, and I do definitely think he's a big game guy that comes through the biggest moments, and some people are just built like that, and maybe that's who he is, but I would agree that something just seems to be a little bit off.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see. That's just somebody I wouldn't want to transfer if there is something going on mentally. and he just does continue to slip.
And I'd hate to see him go too, but he said during spring ball that he was going pro after this season. So
Not if
I don't
like this, he ain't.
Right. He said he was staying one more year and he was gone.
Even Blake's. But it's more Blake hasn't had any high good numbers other than touchdowns because of just not having the playing time. I mean, the dude had 9 carries last night.
Right, and I think
none of our running backs had more than 9 carries.
I think part of that's by design, right? Harbaugh has said, all preseason that he wanted to be closer to 50-50. And 2 is it's not been a necessity for us to pound the ball and wear people down. And we have established the run and established our dominance, but there's been no need for us to grind to open up the passing game. We've been able to do whatever we want, whenever we want, basically anytime we want the whole season. And level of competition has a lot to do with that, right? so maybe that's it. But the thing that makes the most sense is that he's just trying to preserve them as much as he can and save them for when we do need them, because the reality is that we really haven't needed them yet. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I don't either that or just because we haven't played. We haven't, like you said, we haven't really needed them. So,
right.
Offensive MVP. Oh, good.
Yeah, 10 points is the most we've given up all year, right? And we gave that up in the first quarter yesterday. First half for sure.
We gave up 3, and they scored that fucking fluke ass deep pass right for the half.
That's right. That's right. So,
which we are outscoring the opponents in third quarter. I know last night it was like 55-0 in the third quarter, and then I don't know. I don't even know what we scored. 2 more touchdowns, so 70.
So my point in all that, right, is that we haven't needed it. The game, and one of the things that drives me nuts, and we got away from it a little bit yesterday, but it was still a 2-touchdown game at halftime, right? 24-10, I think. Is that we're a second half team, just like we were last year, but we, I think there's only been 2 games where our guys have played beyond the third quarter, and both of those times were very minimal in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and another thing, like even kind of go off that, even though our secondary are in, Minnesota didn't get a first down in the second half until like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Which is, again, just another great stat to hear. All hands out for Jesse Minter and what he's done with this defense and what he can do with this defense. I mean, every day I'm thankful that everybody that was on the coaching staff last year is still here. Because it's definitely probably won't be like that next season.
No.
I would not be surprised to see Sharon and Jesse Minter be a head coach somewhere next season. Maybe even Mike Hart.
And maybe even Mike Hart. That's right.
But Mike Hart, in my opinion, he'll probably be the next offensive coordinator if Sharon leaves.
So, yeah, I think that's the only way that Mike probably stays, because I think that out of the 3 of them, that Mike Hart probably can be the least choosy, right? Just because he has running backs coaches as high as he's been, right? He hasn't been a coordinator. He hasn't been, he doesn't have the experience, but I do think that if Sharon goes, that Mike would be the obvious choice for offensive.
Well, yeah, and that'd be the only.
I think that would be enough to keep him there.
But that would be the only reason I think he'd stay, is because he doesn't have that experience as anything other than a running backs coach. He's been a running back coach everywhere, Eastern Michigan, Indiana, and now here. So to get that onto his resume.
He started off at Eastern as a grad assistant. When he started off, whatever it was, 7-8 years ago, the Detroit News did a thing on him, and like he was there making coffee at 4 a.m. for everybody to get there. That was kind of his deal as a grad assistant. So he's for sure earned his stripes and earned his way up there. But like you said, that's the highest level he's been, right? As a running backs coach, Indiana, Eastern here. So, um, he may get like a low level college head coaching offer, but he's not going to get the level that Sharon Moore or Jesse Mentor was. I think those guys would both just about have choice of what they wanted if they chose to go.
Yeah, and I mean, Jay Harbaugh is another one that could actually honestly get that offensive coordinator spot. I don't see him getting defensive. And he could, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I'd want that. I think our defensive coordinators need to continue to come from outside for now.
Yeah, no, we just need to call Brother John and say who you got next.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Minner. I mean, Minner all came from McDonald. Was leaving McDonald. Said, "Hey, got this dude who I used to work with in Baltimore. He's over at Wake Forest now, or wherever the fuck he was. Vanderbilt, Wake Forest. I think he was at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt thing.
Hey, give him a call." And the man's came in and ran the same fucking defense as McDonald did, almost to a better level. Well, to a better level, but
Absolutely.
he probably also has better players to probably do it with too than what McDonald had. Not by much. I'm not saying that Aiden Hutchinson. Well,
no, but we're deeper for sure.
Oh yeah, way deeper.
This is the results of all the agony of the first. This is year 9 for Harbaugh, right? So the agony of the first 7 years is that, and that's why I talk about us looking, a little bit like Georgia and Bama powerhouse teams, is just because we're just so very deep. Anywhere other than the quarterback position, I would not fret if somebody got, well, maybe like if Will Johnson or Mikey Sanders still got hurt, but
did you say other than the quarterback position?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you say. I thought that's what I heard you say, but I wasn't. Then I was like, "Wait, did he say that?" I was like,
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. Wait a minute.
Goes down. I'm writing the season off and just hoping that we can do the best we can. But
I mean, at least Tuttle. Now that Tuttle's been actually playing, Tuttle does not look bad when he's coming to football.
He looks serviceable, and if JJ went down, right, and if Tuttle could play at a Cade McNamara level, just not kill us, right? Just don't hurt us. I think that we would probably be okay.
Yeah,
we don't need you to be a superstar, Jack. Just don't hurt us.
Be a game manager. And he's somebody that has starting experience from when he was at Indiana.
Yeah, and he's played in some big games, right?
He's played against the Ohio States. He's played against I'll say he's played against Michigan. He's played against players like us. I mean, he's been in them big moments. Just doesn't have the team do it around him. So who knows what he could do? I don't know, but I'm glad to have him as a backup because Davis Warren has not looked good at all. But yeah.
And hang on real quick. This is the first time I've read this. I kind of forgot about, to be honest with you, but Cade's out for the season with a knee injury, and I'm not gonna attempt the football by like celebrating or anything, but I hope he got the season that he deserves. I'll just leave it at
that. I'm not gonna talk. But yeah. Now,
how about that defense scoring 2 more touchdowns? Dude,
I so fucking wanted to fucking post some shit. If Keon Sabb, would not been passed out in my bed at that point, fucking sick, I would have made some fucking tweet on Facebook. I would have been all over Twitter on that shit, fucking reposting that and then saying, "What about now? What we scored 4 defensive touchdowns this season."
Yeah,
I think Mikey's. I feel like there's one more between the two we had last night. Mikey, I just can't think of. Oh no, Chris Jenkins almost had that pick 6.
Yeah.
It's just that pick down to like the 2-yard line. But yeah, no, I know. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on that one. Offensive, defensive MVPs for this game. We'll start on the offensive side for you. Who you got?
we were pretty nothing out. There's nobody that really jumps out to me, right? That that a lot of guys had solid games, and part of that's the product of us being as good as we are. But I'm gonna give it to JJ. 14 for 20, 219 yards, 92 QBR, right? But couple nice rushes. He had 4 for 17 and 2 touchdowns, 4.3 yards a carry. So JJ's my guy.
Another one, like you said, it's hard to pick out of it just because everything is pretty thought out. Like they said, like we were texting about earlier, Michigan brought 75 people to the game, played 74 out of the 75. I mean, it must really suck to be that 75th fucking person. But
so listen to this. We had said that, and I think they talked about it. Well, PJ Fleck talked about it, right? But Harbaugh said on Michigan Replay that everybody played. He said everybody that come on that plane played yesterday.
I hope they did, because man,
and maybe he's wrong, but
one person.
Right. Yeah, right. What the fuck did I do?
Oh, that would be such shitty, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go after somebody who's kind of. I mean, he hasn't been quiet. He's been big for us this year. Had a drop early in the game where I was like, man, I thought you were over this shit, and then turned around and made it up instantly. I'm gonna give it to Cornelius Johnson. Cornelius Johnson made a few big plays for us last night.
And he did.
Even after that drop, I was like, man, don't start this shit again. I was like, you ain't done this since like middle of last season. Didn't do it against Ohio. Like, didn't do it late in the season last year against Penn State. All that. I was like, just don't start it again.
So I think Rowan Wilson is our most improved offensive player right now to date, but I think you can make a hell of an argument for Cornelius Johnson too. And preseason, what did we talk about? I know that I talked about it a lot, and I think you did too. We needed our receivers to step up to take the next step, and they both have. Cornelius has had a couple drops. This is the first one in a couple games, at least big ones, I think. And I kind of was with you. I'm like, here we go again. But he come back and made a big catch. And while we were talking about offensive player of the game, I kind of forgot to make up my mind. I looked, and had he had a touchdown yesterday, I would have picked him.
That's the thing is he hasn't really his whole career, he hasn't had a lot of touchdowns in a season, but he's always been a decent, reliable receiver. Even if it's for a big play, I mean, he only has 1 touchdown this season. So far, I mean, it's kind of hard to spread it out when Roman Wilson has 8 of them, but which is 7 away from tying Braylon's record.
And he might get there.
I mean, we're halfway through the season. I don't see him not even. I mean, you go. Hopefully, we have 9 games left.
This can't be right. I'm looking on ESPN, and it says that Cornelius Johnson has never scored a touchdown.
What do you mean? In his career?
Yeah, at Michigan.
Are you looking at the right Cornelius Johnson? Because I'm definitely looking at the same thing, and it says. No, Dad, scroll down. Scroll down. You're looking at last game stats.
No, I'm looking at career stats.
I don't know what the fuck you're looking at, because this year he had 1. Last year he had 6.
So
2021 he had 3.
Let me see if I can remember how to do this stream thing.
Share screen. And then select that screen and then just stay on that screen. Then I'll add it to this. Ooh, my dogs are going to be pissed at me. You got to zoom in, old man. You know how to do that? What do you mean? I can literally see touchdown 1.
No,
it's the
0
stat.
Oh, you know what? Hang on. I was looking at that must have been rushing. I was looking at there's 2 touchdown columns. 1 touchdown long fumble. That must be rushing.
I'm like,
what in the hell? I knew that wasn't right.
I was looking at this and I was like, Dad, we're looking at the same fucking screen.
So 14 he's had. Okay. Yeah, that must be rushing touchdowns. I just seen TD and didn't look to see if there was another TD.
I couldn't even see the thing, and I could just see like the outlines of the ones.
Right.
But yeah, he had a good game. But defensive side of the ball, this is hard because there's like I want to give it to fucking.
I'm going
This
Mason Graham.
That's where I'm at. Even though Will Johnson had that pick six, and so did Keon Sabb, but
yeah. And I thought about giving it to Keon, but
that
Mason Graham was a force yesterday, and then he did it with his hand wrapped up. You know, he had no use of a second hand. He led the team in tackles. He led the team in TFLs, I believe, as well. Yeah, Mason Graham. Dude's a beast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But all in all, another win, 6-0. 9 more to go. 5 more to go until 1,000. So, which I believe that'll happen with Maryland. Yeah. If we win out, we don't lose. We beat Maryland. That's 1,000 wins for the season.
Right.
So, I almost kind of wish we'd lose so we could do it against Ohio State, but I don't want you to lose. And you know it'd be fucking glorious, though.
It would be, but I don't want to lose just to get it.
No, neither do I.
But that would also send the Buckeyes into a fucking
they're already
if we got it against them, right?
They're already going to be in a fucking tizzy this year. They are not. Their quarterback is trash.
Yeah, he's not.
Without Marvin Harrison Jr., that team is like already has 2 losses on the season.
Oh, absolutely.
Would have lost last night. Would have lost Notre Dame. Should have lost Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's fucking stupid.
Notre Dame's fucking Notre Dame.
Yeah, and the fact that I don't know.
Yeah, so Mason Graham, right? 6 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. I mean, led the team across the board in those categories. So yeah.
Yeah, the dude just ate. 8. The dude just ate last night. He came to play. He hadn't played in 2 weeks. He was hungry. One more thing before I'm done on my side of it. The things I got. Did you see their highlights that Miami game last night against Georgia Tech?
I seen the end of the game.
Okay, well, you've seen the last 30 seconds of the game. That's all that matters because that was a huge mistake.
What in the fuck, man?
Dad, don't ask me.
Here's Chaney.
You have 32 seconds left. It's 3rd and 10. Look at the play clock. 40 seconds. If you go back, you can see it on the screen, right?
Yeah.
So you go back. 35 seconds left. A play clock's 40 seconds, bro. Why the fuck are you running the football?
Right.
Like, this is exactly what you deserve right here.
The straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You fumble the fucking football. That's exactly what you deserve at that point.
Absolutely.
Just letting you know, Georgia Tech lost to Bowling Green last week. Just want to point that out.
Is that right?
Read the clock.
Yeah, Georgia Tech lost to Bowling Green like either last week or the week before.
Oh my gosh.
That makes our fucking shit to happen against them so much fucking better. Even though Georgia Tech's 3-3 now. I know I kind of pretty sure everyone's seen it.
Read the card.
To go through and just
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds left.
What happens and
Kyle Kennard comes up with the fumble.
You should not be running the football. I mean, it is.
Singleton, the fastest of the receivers, to the top of the screen. Here's King from the pocket. Flush to his right with 6. 5. Going to loop it downfield. And ball is caught. Touch receivers to the top of the screen. Here's King from the pocket. Flush to his right with 6.
This is like the most like.
And ball is caught. Touchdown.
Why?
Georgia Tech.
Anyway,
with 1 second to go in the ball game, Christian.
And the fact that they're throwing shit on the field, like that's just the most Miami thing I've seen.
Right. So the
U's been down. The U's been down bad.
So what I don't understand was, and I read something, and this wasn't a quote from like a reputable source, but somebody said that Cristobal was blaming the quarterback, that he told him to kneel at, and he decided to call his own play. And
No,
I
that sounds like Scott Frost blaming his team for fucking losing
right.
football
And
games
I
when he was
just
at
can't.
Nebraska.
Anybody
Stupid
that's
motherfucker.
played 1 year of football knows in that situation to fucking kneel it down. The announcers were losing their mind, right? All over it, and they're. I know PTI will trash them on Mondays about it because they love to trash coaches for shit like that. And apparently though, this isn't Cristobal's first instance like this where he's lost a game like that. I guess it happened at Oregon. Somebody said.
Mario Cristobal, dude, this dude's a fuck.
Yeah.
It couldn't happen to a better fucking dude. Almost like how Scott Frost lost to fucking Northwestern on that fucking thought. Dude, couldn't have happened to a better dude. I cannot stand Mario Cristobal. Cannot stand him. But
How do you just give away a game like that? This is why you kneel the ball. The only thing worse that could have come out of that is one of his kids could have got hurt badly. You know what I mean? That granted, has to be a perfect storm for Georgia Tech to do what they did, right? But there's always a chance. That's why you do it. But first and foremost to me is your player safety. I mean, he would have got tore up probably worse, even if they won the game and their quarterback tore his ACL or something because he got whacked. You know what I mean? Just dumb on so many levels and arrogant.
Like I said, but it couldn't happen to a better person. You want to know how to lose a football team is to blame your team for something that you fucked up and did.
Right.
That's seen it at Nebraska with Scott Frost. That team was done last season after that. Played a little bit of good football towards the end of the season after that toxic fuck got out of there. But all in all, man, like I said, I found that fucking hilarious in my opinion. But yeah, guys. At least for me, I think I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, I got one thing I just want to say real quick. I was looking at Ohio State's schedule, seeing just what I see basically, but they've already had their bye week.
Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah. So I mean, they
played that bad. They played that bad coming out of a bye week.
Yeah. So I mean, they got Purdue, Penn State, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan State, Minnesota, and then us. And Penn State's the reality is probably the only team that's really going to challenge them, right? But that's a lot of games in a row without a bye. They could very well get pretty beat up by the time it comes to play us. Is my point.
I said first game they were going to lose 3 games. They fucking squeaked the fuck by on fucking goddamn Notre Dame. Should have lost that game. Fuck. They're going to lose to Penn State, and they're going to lose to us. It's at least 2. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I thought they would lose 2 to 3, so they're right on course. And the reality is that
Ryan Day's finally getting his players and shooting. Well, yeah, but I mean, with this, I mean, Ryan Day is showing that he had Urban Meyer's players. I mean, 1 year he beats us. He has Justin Fields as a transfer quarterback with Chris Olave, all them. What's he done since? Probably would have kicked their ass. Probably would have kicked their ass in 2020, but thank God. I seen it. Speaking of that, I seen a tweet from Ohio State dude on Twitter yesterday. Someone retweeted, and it said, okay, after we fucking won, like, I think I seen it this morning, but after we won, and they played the way they did, some Ohio State fan sent a tweet out that said, all right, Ohio State needs to pull Michigan of 2020, play the COVID card this season. This game's going to be a shit show. Dude, there's a lot of Ohio State fans that are like, shit.
Oh.
Like I said, their quarterback is not good. He's getting bailed out by.
They're not where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right?
Oh,
but
no, not at all.
They're
heading that direction.
They are. And I've said this your whole life. Football runs in cycles, right? And they whooped our ass for an abnormally long cycle. And it would be on top.
25 years before that, though.
Right. So, and I've said this numerous times, but if we could go on a 7 or 8 out of 10 run,
well, they're gonna cry. They're gonna cry. Their psych wards are gonna be full.
Dude, when Earl Bruce was there, I would go into Ohio wearing Michigan stuff, and they wouldn't even look me in the eye. So,
Earl Bruce, I mean, John Cooper. I've told Aaron since fucking for at least really since 2020 like 21. Really, at the start of that season, when they lost to Oregon, I said, "Dude, he's John Cooper 2.0," and so far it's lived up to it. Has not been able to win the big games. Has not been able to beat Michigan with his own players. Really,
Right.
even though this is year 5 for him, and Michigan's ruled the Big Ten in majority of his seasons, other than 2019 and 2020. Yeah, so this would be year 5. So 2 out of the 4 seasons, Michigan's beat him. He's 1-2. Probably should be 2-2, honestly, because they probably would have whooped our ass in 2020 if we would have played.
They likely would have won. Yep, absolutely.
But that year, that year was just stupid, anyways. I don't care what the fuck you say. Much as I wanted football to be played, football never should have been played that season, just because everyone was so everything was messed up that season. Not even just like this. We had people getting sick. We had people get hurt. We had people opt out. Nico Collins didn't play that season. Who knows what would happen then? I mean, never mind. We had fucking Joe Milton as our quarterback. It didn't fucking matter. Never mind. How's that going, Tennessee? Told you all, motherfuckers. But yeah, but that's all I have. Ohio State's going to lose at least 2 more games this season. Lose 2 games this season, if not 3 to somebody. Small. Mario Cristobal is a dumbass. And Michigan, in my opinion, is the best team in the country as of now. I get why we aren't number 1 because Georgia hasn't lost and they don't deserve to lose that spot. But yeah, hope you all have a good week. And go blue.
Go blue. Hail.